Discover the incredible journey. Lost puppy's heartwarming rescue from the circus after 3 months. In a small Midwestern town, where the golden corn waved in harmony with the sun's rays, 10-year-old Jack Harrison had dreams brighter than the midday sky. His bright eyes sparkled with an insatiable thirst for adventure, where he could escape the hardships of his family's struggling farm. Each day was a battle against nature's whims, while the weight of their economic hardships loomed over their spirits like a storm cloud. Yet, amidst the toil and sacrifice, Jack's heart swelled with plans that reached far beyond the horizon, where opportunity seemed to dance like sunlight on the creek near their home point. One fateful day, a circus rolled into town, painting the drab landscape with vibrant colors and a whiff of excitement. Jack had sneaked away from his chores, curiosity pulling him toward the remnants of this magical place. The heavy smell of popcorn hung in the air, and laughter echoed through the billowing tents. As he wandered past, he stumbled upon a scruffy little puppy with soulful eyes peering from under a tarnished barrel. Jack's heart raced. This was no ordinary puppy. This was Buddy Lost, yet somehow overflowing with a spirit that sparkled even through despair. Days turned into a whirlwind of joy, bringing Jack and Buddy closer. They played in the fields, chased fireflies, and shared secrets under the wide-open sky. Buddy became Jack's confidant, a fluffy bundle of unconditional love against the backdrop of the struggles at home. But as the sun set one evening, darkness clouded Jack's heart. The circus returned, and with it came the realization that Buddy was just another missing piece of property to them. When the owner snatched Buddy up and marched away without a second thought, Jack felt his heart shatter. A mix of rage, helplessness, and determination welled up within him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Fueled by love and an unwavering loyalty, Jack couldn't sit idly by. He vowed to rescue Buddy, determined to challenge the circus that had taken his only friend. As whispers spread through town about Jack's quest, a spark ignited the neighbors' hearts. Miss Gladys, with her kind smile, shared stories of bravery. Mr. Thompson, the gentle mechanic, offered his tools for the journey ahead. Each voice added fuel to Jack's fire and quickly transformed his ambition into a community rallying for justice, igniting conversations about the socio-economic divide that gripped them all. But time was running out. As the circus prepared to leave town under the cloak of a starry night, Jack faced a gut-wrenching confrontation with its owner, a man who had let greed strip away his humanity. Heart racing, tears stinging his eyes, Jack stood before the man to fight not only for Buddy, but for every dream they seemed to lose. As tension mounted, and the whispered worries of the town echoed like a thunderstorm, Jack realized they were all in this together. Could they spark a movement potent enough to challenge the circus's exploitation? The stage was set, the air thick with anticipation. Jack looked toward the horizon, questioning if reclaiming Buddy might risk everything they had fought to hold on to. With hope flickering like the last beam of sunlight, Jack steadied his trembling hands. Would he find the courage to stand tall against all odds? The answer dangled in the balance, heavy yet hopeful, with the promise of a heartwarming tale just waiting to unfold. The air crackled with tension as Jack faced the circus owner, Mr. Granger. His tall frame loomed over Jack, overshadowing not just his body but the hopes of everyone watching. The crowd that gathered outside the circus tent had grown silent, their anxious breaths mingling in a thick, shared apprehension. Jack's heart pounded in his chest, each thud a reminder of why he stood there for Buddy. Let him go. Jack's voice trembled, fierce yet small against the weight of Mr. Granger's presence. The words hung in the air, a declaration that echoed with courage he didn't know he possessed at Mr. Granger smirked, a cold glimmer of indifference in his eyes. And why would I do that? This little mutt is worth more to me than you could imagine. Yes, part of the show. Fury bubbled inside Jack. This puppy, this cherished companion, was just another tool for this man to exploit. He could feel the eyes of his neighbors on him, their silent support thundering in the back of his mind. Miss Gladys squeezed her granddaughter's hand, her face lined with concern but also fierce pride. Mr. Thompson stood at the front, tools in hand, ready to put them to good use if push came to shove. You think you can just take what's not yours? Jack pressed on, stepping closer to Mr. Granger, his chin lifted defiantly. Yes, not just an act. Yes, my friend. Laughter erupted from the crowd, but it wasn't mocking. It was a rallying cry of solidarity. That's right. Someone shouted from the back. He's got heart. Jack felt a rush of adrenaline. Stories of bravery, kindness, and friendship filled the air, buoying his spirit as he pushed past his doubts. They weren't just there for him, they were there for Buddy too. The realization hit him hard. This was not just a boy trying to rescue a puppy. This was a community standing against a force too big, too powerful, that thought it could stomp out their hopes. But as Jack's resolve built, Mr. Granger narrowed his eyes, frustration flaring. This is not a game, boy. You're out of your depth. You think they care about you? He sneered, motioning to the crowd. You've got no power here. Just look around. Yet Jack did look around. He saw those familiar faces, people he had grown up with, who shared in the laughter and the burdens. It was a moment of clarity. He might be just a kid, but he had the strength of his entire town behind him. Buddy deserves a home, Jack shouted, his voice rising above the murmurs. He deserves love. He's worth more than your ticket sales. The words spilled from his heart, raw and true. For a second, silence swallowed the air. Then, like the first drops of rain before a storm, murmurs of agreement began to ripple through the crowd. Yeah. Let him go. Seeing his moment, Jack took a step forward and reached into his pocket. The shiny quarters jingled against one another, a symbol of all the chores he had completed, all the dreams he had saved for. I'll pay you. I'll save him. Just let him come home, Jack pleaded, his voice cracking slightly. Mr. Granger's expression flickered between rage and consideration. Jack stood frozen, hands trembling, not with fear but with hope. Then the unexpected happened. As the crowd erupted into chants and half-formed slogans, Jack's heart soared. Would they support him enough to reclaim Buddy? Would everyone's strength combine into an unstoppable force, proof that love could defy greed? But just as Mr. Granger opened his mouth to respond, a loud commotion erupted from within the circus tent, and the sounds of barking echoed into the night. Jack's heart sank. Had Buddy been so afraid? Suddenly, from behind the curtain, a figure burst forth, tail wagging madly. Jack's breath hitched in his throat. It couldn't be. Would Buddy dash into the scene like a ray of light? Or were they too late to save him? As the crowd gasped, Jack's heart raced, hope battling with fear. The moment of truth was near, and with it loomed the chance for a journey that would change everything. Buddy barreled into the spotlight, a whirlwind of floppy ears and wagging tail. The crowd erupted into cheers, their voices blurring into one joyful roar. Jack could hardly believe his eyes. But as the puppy skidded to a stop, panting heavily, the scene turned chaotic. Mr. Granger's face twisted in anger, and he reached for Buddy, his shadow stretching ominously. Get back, you little mutt! He bellowed, lunging toward the dog. Jack reacted without thinking, his instincts overriding every rational thought. He dashed forward, arms outstretched, ready to scoop Buddy into his arms. The crowd surged forward as well, fueled by the adrenaline of the moment, chanting, "Let him be free! Let him go!" It was a wave of humanity that crashed against the circus owner, escalating the fight for freedom. Jack remembered the moments he and Buddy had shared, the long walks, the lazy afternoons in the sun, and the times Buddy had licked the tears from his face. "No!" Jack shouted, his voice cutting through the din. He could feel the energy thrumming through the crowd, a collective heartbeat that matched his racing pulse. "He's not yours to own." Mr. Granger, taken aback for a moment by the unexpected resistance, regained his composure. "You think this little performance will make any difference?" His voice dripped with contempt, but the tremor in his hand betrayed his doubt. Seeing the determination in Jack's eyes, the crowd's solidarity burned like fire. "Enough!" Mr. Granger barked. "I will not be made a fool of." Jack could see confidence wavering in Mr. Granger, and he pressed on. "This isn't just about a puppy. It's about kindness. It's about doing what's right." The crowd's chanting grew louder, a symphony of voices blending into a plea that reverberated off the canvas walls of the tent. A few brave souls stepped closer, fists raised, echoing Jack's charge. We stand together. A voice called out. For Buddy. Jack felt buoyed by their support. Yet uncertainty gnawed at him. Could they really overpower Mr. Granger? Was courage enough against someone so ruthless? At that moment, someone from the back of the crowd stepped forward, holding a megaphone high. It was Miss Gladys. Listen here, Mr. Granger. You may own this circus, but you don't own our hearts. We value compassion over greed every time. Let the boy have his dog back. Every word translated into emotion, the crowd surged with a collective hope that ignited new strength in Jack. He turned to Buddy, whose eyes sparkled in the half-light. The puppy took a hesitant step forward, sensing Jack's energy, and the sound of barking mixed with shouts of support. Just then Mr. Granger's face darkened, and he threw up his hands. Fine. Have your precious dog. But mark my words, this isn't over. I won't forget you. You think you can just take what you want? Jack's heart raced. They had won, but at what cost? He grabbed Buddy and held him close, relief flooding through him. The crowd cheered, arms raised in victory, but deep down, Jack felt the weight of Mr. Granger's threat linger like a shadow. I don't care, Jack whispered to Buddy, nuzzling the pup against his chest. We'll figure it out together. As Jack looked into the crowd, he noticed their smiles, their triumphant camaraderie illuminating the night. But already, he felt the prickling tension of what might come next. Would they truly be safe from Mr. Granger's wrath? Before he could ponder further, the crowd's cheers quieted. An unsettling silence washed over them as all heads turned toward the main entrance of the tent. A figure stood there, dressed in a slick suit. With a sly grin he stepped forward and Jack's heart dropped. What had they just awakened? The figure that stepped forward was tall, with slicked back hair and an air of smooth confidence that sent shivers down Jack's spine. He scanned the crowd, his smile growing wider as he relished the attention. Jack felt a tight knot form in his stomach. Who was this man? What did he want? Ladies and gentlemen, the stranger called out, his voice smooth as honey but sharp like a blade. I am Mr. Anderson, the new investor in Mr. Granger's circus. He paused, letting that sink in. It seems you all have quite a little rebellion on your hands. The crowd murmured, exchanging uneasy glances. Jack clenched Buddy tighter. He could feel the tension prickling in the air, a sense of doom creeping in. What do you want? Someone shouted from the crowd. Just a bit of fun, Mr. Anderson replied with a dismissive wave, as if they were waiting for the circus' next act rather than standing on the precipice of conflict. My friend Granger has been a little too focused on certain aspects of this circus, but I believe there's a better way to entertain, wouldn't you agree? His eyes glinted as he surveyed the audience, and Jack felt his heart thud heavily in his chest. There was a darkness lurking behind that grin. He sensed this man thrived on chaos, and as he spoke, it was becoming clear that there were no winners here. The thought of Mr. Granger had been intimidating enough, but this new player promised something more devious. What do you mean? Jack asked, stepping forward despite the gnawing fear. His voice was steadier than he felt. We just want Buddy to be safe. Mr. Anderson chuckled, a deep, unnerving sound. Ah, but how boring that would be. Imagine the excitement. A circus that fights for its freedom. You lot are just the beginning. Confusion hung in the air. Was he mocking them? Jack looked back at the crowd, their expressions shifting from excitement to concern. They had just fought for Buddy, and now this man was playing with their hopes. Let us make a deal, shall we? Mr. Anderson continued, unfazed by the shifting tides of the crowd. A little contest. You prove to me that you're worthy. Bring your dog here tomorrow, and let us see if his spirit can impress me. If he does, he can go home with you. The crowd gasped and Jack's breath hitched. And if he doesn't, he asked, dread seeping into his words. Mr. Anderson's smile widened, a void devoid of warmth. Then he becomes the main attraction of my new show. Think about it. A puppy who can perform. The crowd will love it. No, Jack shouted, anger boiling inside him. You can't do that. You think this is a game? Mr. Anderson shrugged, his smirk unwavering. Games are what we do, boy. The circus by its nature is a game of chance. You want your pup? You'll have to earn him. With that, he turned on his heel and strode toward the exit, his confidence echoing behind him. Tomorrow at noon. I'll be waiting to see if you're up for the challenge. Panic surged through Jack, and he felt Buddy quivering in his arms. The cheers that had once filled the tent faded into a chilling silence. The faces in the crowd were animated with a mix of worry and determination. Jack took a deep breath, heart pounding, and turned back to everyone. "We can't let him take Buddy. We have to think of a plan." As the crowd rallied around him, Jack felt a flicker of hope amidst the uncertainty. But deep down, questions gnawed at him. Could they truly face this new threat? What if Buddy didn't perform? Doubt and fear loomed large as the crowd gathered for a discussion, each person's face reflecting a mixture of resolve and trepidation. Jack knew they had to act fast. Tomorrow would bring the test of their strength, and within him lay the weight of a world hanging in the balance. Would he find the courage to save Buddy? Or would the darkness of the circus consume them all? With a heavy heart, Jack looked out at the gathering crowd, determined to fight, yet unsure of the daunting road ahead. Jack took a deep breath, steeling himself against the wave of anxiety that threatened to crash over him. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the gathered crowd. Conversations bubbled around him, a mix of fear and determination, each whisper echoing the sense of urgency that hung in the air. "What are we going to do?" A voice piped up. Emma, one of the younger circus performers, her eyes wide with worry. "We can't just stand here." Jack nodded, glancing down at Buddy who had nestled against him, seeking comfort. "We need a plan. We can't let Anderson take him. We'll do whatever it takes to keep Buddy safe." The crowd buzzed with energy. Faces he had known since childhood glimmered with both hope and tension. It was a strange blend of family, unity, and fear. "Does anyone have ideas?" "Anything?" Jack urged. Ben, a wiry clown with paint still smudged on his cheeks, stepped forward. "What if we put on a show? Make it a surprise act that showcases Buddy's skills?" Several people murmured in agreement. "That could work." A voice chimed in. "Anderson wouldn't see it coming." "Yeah, but what if it's not enough?" Jack interjected, forcing himself to remain calm. "If Buddy can't impress him, we've lost everything." The crowd fell silent, the weight of Jack's words settling in the air like a thick fog. Jack felt his heart racing. The overwhelming worry for Buddy almost paralyzed him. Inspiration struck and he raised his chin, determined. "What if we start with Buddy's best tricks? We've all seen how talented he is. Maybe we can train him better tonight. If we showcase exactly what he can do, maybe it'll beat whatever game Anderson is playing." "Yes," Emma exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Buddy loves to run through hoops. And he can fetch like nobody else. Let us get to work." With renewed energy, the group dispersed to gather props and prepare. Jack felt adrenaline coursing through him. Hours flew by as they set up a makeshift training ground. Under the moonlight, Buddy practiced darting through hoops, jumping over obstacles, and even doing his signature rollover. Jack laughed as he watched Buddy leap through the air, his little paws carrying him over everything in their path. The fear began to ease just a bit. Maybe they had a chance. As the night deepened, they all gathered around a small campfire. Shadows danced on their faces, and the warmth felt like a protective barrier against the looming challenge. "Tomorrow's going to be tough," Jack said, his voice steady but filled with gravity. "But no matter what happens, we're all in this together." The crowd let out a collective hum of agreement, their voices melding like a fragile thread binding them. Jack noticed a few heads nodding. Hope started to replace the fear, flickering like the flames before them. But just as Jack began to feel solid ground beneath his feet, a chill ran through him. What if Buddy couldn't perform? What if Anderson had traps waiting? The fear nibbled at his resolve. Suddenly, one of the younger kids, a brave little girl named Lily, tugged at Jack's sleeve. "Are we gonna be okay, Mr. Jack?" He knelt beside her, searching her eyes, willing strength into his words. "We will be, honey. No matter what, we'll fight for him. We can't let that man take our Buddy." Just then a scream pierced the night. The crowd jolted, fear etched on their faces. Jack shot to his feet, heart pounding, as all eyes turned toward the shadowy figure that had crept upon them. "Didn't anyone ever teach you not to make deals with devils?" Mr. Anderson smirked, his silhouette sharp against the firelight. In his hands a collar glinted ominously, and a chilling laugh escaped his lips. Jack's heart dropped. The true game was just beginning. How could they fight back against this darkness? As uncertainty engulfed them, the fire crackled, almost mocking their fear. Tomorrow may hold answers, but would it also bring the end of everything they cherished? Jack felt a surge of hot anger rise inside him as he faced Anderson. The man's eyes were cold and calculating. An unsettling grin painted across his face. "What do you want, Anderson?" Jack forced out, trying to keep his voice steady against the tide of fear. "Oh, you'll see soon enough," Anderson replied with a flare of theatrics, weaving his fingers together as if constructing a plan right before their eyes. "Tomorrow's show will be quite the spectacle. But I can assure you, it won't be nearly as spectacular as what I have in mind for your little friend." He lifted the collar in a taunting manner, allowing the shimmering metal to catch the fire's glow. It felt like a noose tightening around Jack's heart. Around him, the Circus family tensed, their determination melting into uncertain fear. "We won't let you take him," Emma declared, her voice rising above the hush. "You can't just waltz in here and threaten us. We are family." Anderson's laughter echoed in the night, hollow and derisive. "Family? You think that's enough to stand against me? I've crushed families for less than what you're trying to protect." Jack's breath quickened. He glanced down at Buddy, who was now alert and sensing the electricity in the air. The little dog looked up at him with trusting eyes that pleaded for guidance. Jack knelt, stroking Buddy's fur. He had to stay strong. They all did. "Listen," Jack said, standing firm. "We may not have much, but we have each other. If you think a collar and your threats will scare us off, you're wrong. We will fight for Buddy." Anderson took a step closer, a predator relishing the cornered prey. "Fight? Do you think your feeble little act tomorrow will impress me? You should know I don't play fair." A cold knot of dread twisted in Jack's stomach, but he couldn't let it consume him. He turned to the performers, their faces full of resolve. "We'll figure something out," he urged. "We're getting Buddy back. Together." As Anderson slipped back into the shadows, the tension fractured the air, leaving behind an uneasy stillness. Jack swung around to face his family, the rhythmic crackling of the campfire a reminder of their solidarity amidst chaos. "Okay, we have tonight," he began, "and we'll train Buddy harder than ever. We need him at his best tomorrow. If Anderson thinks he can outsmart us, then he has underestimated us all." With new determination, the group rallied. They practiced tirelessly through the night, Buddy bounding back and forth, showing off his incredible tricks, growing more confident with each loop and flip. Laughter filled the air, the echoes of joy pushed back against the dark shadows that loomed too close. As the first blush of dawn started to light the horizon, Jack collapsed beside Buddy, fatigue washing over him. He was proud of his little dog, but as he glanced over at the others, he wondered if his plan would be enough. Could they really outsmart Anderson? Would their love and resolve shine through when it mattered most? With the festival atmosphere surrounding them, uncertainty still gnawed at him. What if it's not enough? He mumbled, almost to himself. In that moment, Lily interrupted his grim thoughts, her small hands clutching his arm. "Mr. Jack, I believe Buddy can do it. We all do. We just have to show everyone what love looks like." Her innocence pierced through Jack's worries. "You're right, Lily. We just need to believe. Together we can make this work." As they all gathered their courage for the impending challenge, Jack looked one last time at Buddy, who gave him an eager wag of his tail, seemingly ready to take on the world. But Anderson wouldn't give up easily. As anticipation hung in the air, Jack knew that their real battle was just on the brink of unfolding. What unforeseen obstacles awaited them in the spotlight? Tomorrow's show loomed larger than life, and the stakes had never been higher. As dawn broke, the sun's first rays spilled over the horizon, illuminating the dusty circle of the big top. Jack rubbed his tired eyes, the remnants of worry still cloaked around his heart. The circus was alive with sounds, performers hustling to prepare for the day's show. Yet, amidst the excitement, a heavy weight pressed down on Jack's shoulders. He stood with Buddy beside him, who was already bouncing around, his tail wagging in rhythm with the distant music. The sight brought a smile to Jack's face, but the threat from last night lingered like a storm cloud overhead. They would stage their performance today, but it wasn't just a display of tricks. It was a declaration, a stand against Anderson. "Let us focus, Buddy," Jack called out, taking a deep breath to ease his own fears. They'd have to dazzle the crowd, exceed Anderson's expectations. Anything less was not an option. Emma joined them, a determined glint in her eye. Jack, everybody is counting on us. We know what we're up against. But if we can show them what Buddy can really do, we might just turn the tide. Jack nodded, feeling a flicker of hope. Right. We can't let Anderson steal our spirit. Showtime is our chance to reclaim what's ours. The idea of performing stoked an anxious fire in Jack's belly. He remembered the trust Buddy had in him, the bond they shared. They weren't just doing this for themselves. They were fighting for a family, for every heart in the audience that hoped for joy in the midst of challenge. The time to perform drew near. The performers dressed in vibrant costumes, their laughter swirling in the air, lifting everyone's spirits. Lily clasped her small hands, her eyes twinkling with excitement and anxiety. Mr. Jack, what if it's all too much? What if Anderson tries to sabotage us? Jack knelt down beside her, meeting her gaze. Then we'll show him how strong we are. He may have threats, but we have love. Love can conquer everything, remember? Lily nodded, her face lighting up. Jack stood up, feeling buoyed by her encouraging words. He turned to the rest of the troupe, rallying them with a steady voice. Each one was ready to fight, but more importantly, they were prepared to shine amidst the fear as the audience began to file in. Anticipation electrified the air. Jack's heart raced. It was just the big top, but to him it felt like the center of the universe. People from all walks of life were gathered, seeking a little wonder, a bit of magic. And there it was, or rather they were. Buddy stood poised, tail wagging furiously, eager for his cue. This was their moment. Jack could feel the weight of the collar Anderson had shown them earlier pressing heavily on his mind, but he pushed that thought aside. The music swelled, and the lively opening act took center stage, drenching the atmosphere with vibrant energy. Jack and Buddy waited in the wings, watching intently, their hearts beating in sync, the rhythm of hope rising within them. Finally, it was time. They stepped into the spotlight, the warmth brushing against them like an embrace, the cheers from the crowd igniting their resolve. "Okay, Buddy," Jack shouted, and in that moment, it felt like the world stood still. As Buddy responded with his dazzling flips and tricks, Jack's worries melted away, replaced by raw, overwhelming passion. But from the dark corner of the tent, Jack spotted Anderson's figure, lurking and watching with his ominous grin. In that heartbeat, he knew they hadn't escaped danger yet. Could they keep the darkness at bay while bringing their light into the show? Would love and courage be enough to outshine the looming threat? The show was just beginning and the true test was yet to unfold. The crowd roared, their cheers like waves crashing against the shore as Jack and Buddy began their performance. With every leap and bound, there was an electric connection between them and the audience. Buddy soared through the air, performing flawless flips that drew gasps of delight. Jack beamed with pride, letting the music sweep him away. They were one. But in the shadows, Jack could still feel Anderson's presence weighing on him, an unwelcome reminder of the threat lurking just beyond the spotlight. He forced himself to focus on the bright faces in the crowd. Children were laughing, their eyes wide with wonder. This was why they had to succeed. They were the heart of the circus, the joyful center that pushed back against the darkness. Lily cheered excitedly from the sidelines, her tiny hands clapping with all her might. Emma watched with a fierce intensity, her face a mix of admiration and concern. They were all in this together, fighting the invisible battle against fear and doubt. As the performance continued, Jack could feel the energy shifting, pulsating with life. The next act was the grand finale, Buddy's signature trick. A breathtaking leap followed by a spin that had nearly become their signature. He could feel every breath of anticipation from the audience, their collective silence humming like a taut wire. "Okay, Buddy, you've got this," Jack yelled, his voice rising above the music. Buddy sprang into action, his body gliding through the air like a shooting star. Jack's heart raced as he watched his partner soar. But just as Buddy was about to complete his arc, a loud thud erupted from the back of the tent. A huge cage, hidden just backstage, toppled over, the loud crash sending a shiver of dread through the audience. Anderson stood there, a smug grin on his face as he gestured at the fallen structure. "Let us see how great your little show is without a proper sight." His voice echoed, cutting through the joy of the performance like a knife. Jack's heart plummeted. With the audience gasping, the sounds of panic started to swell. Jack could see fear in the eyes of the children, hear the rustle of worry spreading like wildfire. He needed to turn this back into a moment of magic. "Buddy, focus!" Jack shouted, desperation tinging his voice. He had to keep Buddy in the moment, grounding him against the chaos. The show was on the brink of falling apart, but it wasn't over yet. In that split second, something incredible happened. Buddy, sensing Jack's urgency, redirected his focus. Instead of avoiding the chaos, he leaped again, channeling all his energy into a powerful spin that sent him soaring over the fallen cage. The audience gasped, then roared in approval, their fear momentarily forgotten, replaced by awe. Jack felt a surge of adrenaline. Together they could conquer this. They were more than just an act. They were a team, fighting not just against Anderson but for everyone who believed in the magic of the circus. As the performance reached its fever pitch, Jack caught a glimpse of Emma and the others rallying the rest of the performers, lifting their spirits in the face of adversity. They were united, ready to face Anderson's games with passion and courage. But just as Jack was about to lead Buddy into their final trick, he caught Anderson's eye again. The other man's expression had shifted. Anger replaced the smugness, his fists clenched. Jack knew the game was not over. A more brutal challenge was looming. Could they finish the show strong enough to expose Anderson's schemes? And would this newfound courage be enough to protect what they cherished most? The stakes had been raised, and the true battle had only just begun. Jack felt the weight of the moment pressing down hard on him. The roar of the crowd was now mixed with a lingering tension that hung thick in the air. He glanced nervously at Buddy, who was poised and ready, fueled by the audience's energy, but Jack could sense the uncertainty bubbling beneath the surface. They both knew what hung in the balance. "Let us finish strong," Jack called out, his voice firm but warm. It was their mantra, one that had seen them through countless performances. With each turn the atmosphere shifted. All around them the tent felt alive, the excitement crackling like electricity. Jack looked out at the sea of faces, the little ones still sparkling with wonder, even amidst the chaos. He could see their hope, their laughter a lifeline pulling him forward. "On 3, Buddy," Jack counted with a steady rhythm. He could feel the heartbeat of the crowd syncing with the beat of his words. 1, 2, 3. Buddy launched himself into the air once again, executing a daring flip. But something was different this time. As he rose, Jack saw the anger in Anderson's eyes, a spark of desperation flashing across his face. The world around them shifted into slow motion. Jack dove into the moment, focusing on Buddy. The image of his friend suspended in the air, completely free, washed over him like a bomb. This was their element, their home. They could not let Anderson spoil it. As Buddy rotated, an unexpected shadow darted through the corner of Jack's eye. He turned to catch a glimpse of something or someone slipping away behind the collapsing cage. A flicker of worry ignited in him. Was it a part of Anderson's plan? "Buddy!" Jack shouted, voice rising above the fading cheers. "Trust me." Buddy's landing was precise, a demonstration of grace under pressure, but Jack's mind was racing. He gestured toward the backstage area. "We need to check it out." The applause faded into the background as Jack and Buddy rushed off toward the chaotic backdrop of the tent. Emma and the other performers were still managing the crowd, rallying their spirits, but the shadow had caught Jack's full attention. He turned the corner just in time to see a small, disheveled puppy, its bright eyes wide and frightened, darting towards the exit flap. Jack's breath caught in his throat. "Oh no, we can't let it escape." "Jack," Buddy called, urgency framing his voice. "What are you doing? We have to get back on stage." Jack hesitated, torn. He could hear the distant cheers returning, but the sound of whimpering from the puppy pierced through the noise. "We can't leave it like this. Someone needs to protect it." Without waiting for a reply, Jack dashed forward. The instinct to help, to take action, consumed him. This puppy could be lost and scared. It might be just as trapped by fear as they were under Anderson's dark shadow. Jack felt adrenaline surging as he reached for the puppy. It stumbled, its tiny body trembling. At that moment, everything shifted again. The stakes felt higher, tumbling into a new realm of courage and compassion. What would they face next, with battle lines drawn more painfully than before? Would this unexpected detour deepen their fight against Anderson? And could they find strength not just for themselves, but for one another, even as the circus continued to evolve into something bigger than they had ever imagined? As Jack scooped the frightened puppy into his arms, he felt its tiny heart pounding against his chest, a rhythm of pure fear. The world momentarily faded away, swallowed by the urgency of the moment. He'd fought hard to save Buddy. Now saving another had become instinctual, a call from his heart. "Jack, we need to go," Buddy barked, shifting anxiously at the entrance as if sensing the growing dread looming behind them. But Jack couldn't just abandon this little creature. "Hang on, little buddy," Jack whispered soothingly, rubbing the pup's head. It looked up at him, eyes wide, trust blossoming through its fear. Jack knew deep down that rescue was more than just reclaiming what they had lost. It was about standing for anyone in need, a lesson that stretched beyond the boundaries of the circus tent. As he hurried back, the cheers of the crowd swelled, a bittersweet soundtrack to his determined escape. Jack could feel the shift. The air crackled with anticipation for the last act. Suddenly the noise morphed. It was a cued crescendo, a moment so close yet so precarious. The uncertainty weighed heavy on their shoulders. He gestured to Buddy, whose fur shimmered even in the dim light. "Let us go back and finish this together," Jack insisted, urgency threading through his voice. They made their way back through the flap, just as the final act was about to unfold. Emma was still at the front, her eyes scanning the faces. "We're holding the crowd. They want to see you." And just like that, a spark ignited in Jack. "Lily," he called, spotting her. "Get everyone ready. We're bringing a little extra magic." "Extra magic?" she puzzled, brightening with curiosity. Jack nodded, his heart racing. "We'll show them that love is the real magic today." With a burst of energy, Jack returned to the center stage, the little new pup wriggling in his arms. The audience looked on, a sea of expectant faces, joy still lingering from the previous performance but now mixed with questions. He turned to them, his voice steady and strong. "This is my friend Buddy, and this little guy here? He needs a loving home." The crowd buzzed, their curiosity piqued. "Anderson might think he can take our spirit away, but we're here to prove him wrong. Our love is bigger than fear," Jack proclaimed, feeling a wave of reassurance wash over him. He set the new puppy down beside Buddy. Instantly, a connection sparked, a bond of companionship that transcended struggle. "Show them, Buddy. Show them the spirit of being together," Jack called out, letting go of his fears. Buddy launched into a series of playful tricks, his enthusiasm contagious. But now the show transformed into a wild celebration, with the new pup finding its rhythm alongside Buddy. The audience erupted into cheers, their voices swelling into a powerful chorus of encouragement. Jack grinned, elated, as he watched the previously lost puppy leap and flourish under Buddy's infectious enthusiasm. From the shadows, Mr. Anderson grew visibly agitated. "This isn't a game, Jack," he yelled, his hands clenching with frustration. The crowd chanted back, "Let them be free. Let them go," their voices a united declaration, rising defiantly against the shadows of greed. "See, Anderson? This is the magic of community," Jack shouted, a surge of hope flooding through him. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about everyone embracing love over exploitation, building bonds over threats. Jack felt Buddy's energy surge through him, his heart racing. With the little puppy bouncing beside Buddy, they dazzled the audience, uniting in a rhythmic dance of joy. The challenge that once loomed now felt conquerable as laughter filled the air. As the grand act concluded, the cheers grew deafening, leaving no room for doubt. They had transformed fear into courage, love into legacy. And in that moment, surrounded by the warmth of family, Jack realized they weren't just fighting for Buddy or even themselves. They were igniting a fire that would inspire everyone, uniting them in a shared purpose, one against an impending darkness. Jack looked back at Anderson, standing rigid and defeated among the applauding crowd, and felt nothing but assurance. This wasn't the end. It was merely the beginning, the birth of change that would ripple through their lives, teaching everyone that true freedom lies in compassion and unity. With Buddy's soft fur brushing against him, Jack felt that warmth radiate through his veins. Together they had found greater strength, one that couldn't be taken, that wouldn't falter against greed or darkness. The moment shifted. The circus was theirs, and they'd fight together for every whimper that cried out for love. Jack's heart swelled as he beamed into the crowd, knowing they were not just a circus anymore. They were a beacon of hope for everyone who believed in the freedom to love and rescue those unable to ask for it. And as dawn's light painted the sky soft hues of pink and orange, Jack felt limitless. Tomorrow would dawn with new fights and fresh challenges, but today was about proving they could overcome anything together. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support truly makes a difference. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to show your love. This is the moment to support us.